I forgot where we left. Where did we leave off? I didn't mark it.
Mem Vav on the base
Okay.
at the bottom.
Gotcha. Okay.
I think around there. Anyways,
Okay.
maybe.
Like where the lungs are?
Blow them up. Blow them up.
Yeah, that's right.
How are you guys?
Very good.
Good.
Excellent.
I haven't seen you in a while.
I've been working at the VA and
Oh,
it's been brutal. I mean, I
oh
was
gosh.
admitting a lot of patients, so it reminded me of my days in practice
Oh my
with
gosh.
great intensity. So, but Baruch Hashem, it's
Okay.
over, and now I can see your smiley faces tonight.
Did you find any trachas while you were there at the any holes in the lungs? Did you check?
I looked. I looked. Remember, my specialty is the kidneys, though.
Oh, okay, okay. That's right.
Yeah. So I play with the kidneys. But hey, you know what? There was actually the Chabad tonight has a Rabbi Jacobson here, but I'm tired. I'm just
Oh,
recovering from getting back. So I said, nah, I'll join you guys.
oh, good.
Ah. Anyway,
Señor Jorge.
buenas
Who's there?
noches,
Oh, Mario.
Mario.
Yeah,
We can't see you. We hear you. We can't see you.
I don't know what happened.
Blackout?
Yeah.
We had weird stuff with our internet about an hour ago. It just shut off totally.
Pay the bill. It should be.
Ah,
What's going on? I don't know what's going on.
well, if you don't know, then we're really in trouble. You're our tech guy.
I'm surprised.
Hi, Ernie.
Fired that she never came to work at all. And we never knew why she didn't come to work.
Hello, everybody.
Hello. Hello.
We are on 47. Mem Zion. Amarava. We're still working with defects in the lung. Hani tarti boyi desmichi ladodi. These are blisters after they do the shechita and they take the lungs out, and they say blisters on the surface of the lung. This is usually because there's been probably an infection, like an abscess, maybe there's pus in there. Now, two blisters that are right next to each other, less lubadikusa. Even if you immerse these lungs in water and you blow air through it and you don't see any air bubblings, it's still treifa. Because having two blisters right next to each other is a proof for the Chazal that there was a hole there. Now, a hole in the lung, according to Chazal, cannot be healed. Once there's a hole, that's it. And so it remains treifa. So therefore, chada, if there's only one blister, umischazir kitarti, but there's like a crease in it. So it looks like it's two. So what do? We do like an experiment. Mycinan silva. You bring a sharp thorn, ubazinan law, and you prick it on one of the sides of this blister. Ishavchan ladadi, if the fluid drains out of both sides from that one hole, in a sense, chadihi, it proves that it was just one blister, not two, uksheira, because along with one blister does not make it treif. However, ilo, if by making a hole on one side and all of the fluid doesn't drain out, then it's two different holes. Tarti ninu, you've established that it's two holes utreifa, and that would make the animal treif. V'amarava, cham she'uni isle l'reya. There are 5 lobes, 3 on the right, 2 on the left. Apa klape gavra. Now they used to hang the animal feet up, face down, with the face facing the butcher. Therefore, the lungs on the right of the butcher will be the animal's right lung. So there's 3 on the right, 2 on the left. Chaser or yoter or cholif. If there's 3 on the left, 2 on the right, or one of the lobes are missing, or there's an extra lobe, in all those cases, treifa. There was a case where there was an extra lobe of the lung that came to Meremar, whether it was kosher or not. Ravacha was sitting in the front of Rav Amemar's house. And the butcher, as he walked out, Amar Le Rav Acha asked the butcher, "My Amar Lach, how did he paskin? Is it kosher or treif?" Remember, it's an extra lobe. There's a rule. If there's an extra lobe, it should be treif. But Amar Le Achshara Niyala, he said it's kosher. So it looked like Meremar was going against Rava, who had said that if you have an extra lobe, it's always treif. Amar Le Hadar Ayla Kamei. Go bring it back. Let Meremar look at it again. Maybe he didn't check it properly. Amar Le. So Meremar knew something was up. Why is the butcher sent back to me? Amar Le Zil Emel Lamanda Yav Baba. He understood that there was a Talmid Chacham sitting by the door. He says, "Go tell Ravacha, less hilchas kavas Rava be a seris, that the halacha is not like Rava when it comes to an extra load. When hanibili the kaima bedar de oini. When you look at lobes of the lung, so there is a pattern here, here, here. It's in a row. So if the extra lobe is in the same row, then it's kosher. Aval beni treifa. But if it's for example in the if it's towards the spine, not necessarily in between the lungs, then it would be treif. Hahu beni da'asl kamei Ravashi. There was this extra lobe that was in between, and Savar Ravashi lemitrafa. Ravashi, based on the rules we learned, wanted to say that it's treif. Avia kolhani cheve braisahavi islu. You know, these animals that graze in the fields, they have an extra lobe. The karule tapki unisa devreda. This is a small lobe that looks like a rose, and this is kosher. Hanimili migavoy. That's when it's on the, again, I would call it the anterior, the ventral portion of the lung cavity. Aval agaba. But if it's in the back, the dorsal side towards the spine, afilu bitarfa da'asa trafa. Even if it's very small, it would be a reason to treif the animal. Amar Rafra. Hi rea de damila lu'utiza treifa. If the lung looks like a piece of wood, it's treif. Now, what does that mean? Ikadamar b'chazusa. It's like brown, like a piece of wood. Ikadamar b'gishta. Others say it feels hard, like a piece of wood. Ikadamar d'neficha, because it's like bloated and it's a little white when it's a piece of wood. V'ikadamar d'b'chizasa, that it just feels hard. V'ikadamar d'sheh d'les l'chitucha d'oini. It's very smooth, and you can't even recognize that there are multiple lobes on that side. That's what it means that it's like wood, where we say it's a treifa. Amar Rava. Kekuchla kshera. If the color of the lung is blue, it's kosher. Kidyoita, if it's black, like black ink, treifa. Dharma of Chanina, shachar adamu ala shalaka. When something is black, it's really bloody, but it's just over time it became black. So when it's black like that, it's a sign that the lung has deteriorated to the point where the animal will not be able to live and it'll be a treifa. Yeruka, if the color of the lung is green, ksheira, midrav nasa. Aduma, ksheira, midrav nasa. If it's red, it's also kosher. The Tanya, Rav Nasa Nomar, Pamachas halachti likrachei haya. I traveled to the islands. Basa ish achas lefonai, a woman came, shemola b'no rishon u'meisheni v'meis. She circumcised her first and second sons, they died. Shlishi, before she circumcised the third one, haviyasu lefonai. The mother brought the child to me to examine the child. Re'isiv shaya adam. The child was very red. Amarti labiti amtini li atshibala bodamo. Give it some time. The blood will be reabsorbed, and then it'll be safe to circumcise him. Himtinala umala osavachaya. She waited, and then they did the circumcision, and the child lived. Vayukorin oisoi nasna bavli al shmi. They called me Nasan the Babylonian, the child. After they named him after me. I went to a place called Kapotkia. She circumcised her first two sons, they died. Shlishi, the third, they brought to me to examine. He was green. There was no blood flowing, particularly in the foreskin and the other parts of the body. Amarti la, biti amtin lo achipo bodamo. Wait until there's better circulation. Himtinala umala osavachai. They waited, and then they did the circumcision, and the child lived. Vayukorin oso nasna bavli ashmed. They named the child Nasna Bavli. Amrav Kana kikavdok sheva. If the blood looks like liver, the color of liver, then it's kosher. If it looks like regular meat, kibsara treifa. The simonech, the way to remember it, ubasar basadet treifa. Something that looks like meat is treifa in the lung. Amrav Sama Breda Rava. Hayrea dedamya kikshuta ukumorika. If it looks yellow, kigon beasa treifa. What kind of green? Because green could be yellow. Because we said green is kosher. Kikarti, that means if it's like a leek, which is greenish bluish, that would be a sign of kashrus. Amravina, autumn berea. Let's say you try to blow up a lung, and one of the lobes does not inflate. Mycin sakina v'karinanle. We open up the place where it looks like it's blocked. Ispe mugla, if there's pus there, the reason why the air is not flowing distal to where the pus is because it's pus, but that doesn't make the animal treif. V'lo, if there's no pus there, musfina lagat faruka, where we made that incision, you place a feather. If the air gets through, then it's kosher. V'ilo treifa. But if no air can get through, then it would be treif. Rav Yosef. Krum shalamach masmaka berea eno krum. Let's say you have a scab that formed on the outside. It cannot heal. If it has a hole and has a scab, it won't prevent air from leaking, and therefore it's a sign of treifus. From Rav Yosef, if it's making a hissing noise, if we can hear some hissing coming out of the lung tissue itself, you place a feather or a straw or some spit. If when you place air in there, it moves, then there's a hole, and it's treif. And if there's no fluttering, ilok shera. Now, if you can't identify, you can't identify where this sound, maybe it's coming just from the air flowing within the bronchi. Maisi meshichusa demaya pshuri. You bring lukewarm water, umasfina lo bagva, and you put the lung in the lukewarm water. Bechamimi lo de kapsi. You don't put it in hot water because it shrivels. Bekariri lo de mitarshi. You don't put it in cold water because it makes it hard. Elabatkin le bepshuri. You check it by putting it in lukewarm. If you see bubbling with inflation, treifa, because there's a hole. If you don't see bubbling, the ilok sheva. Tato inkiv ilolo inkiv. If the inner membrane lining the lung itself has a hole, but the outer membrane is still intact, it's kosher. The hissing is air flowing there, and that's okay. If the lung is sick, that it pours like a jug of water, it's still kosher. If you have an internal defect, because having some of the lung tissue turn into liquid is a defect, that does not cause a treifa. A lung that has a hole or that's deficient, we said is treif. Might chasera. Now, what does it mean deficient? You're talking about the outer piece is missing. Well, that's the same thing as a hole. We must be talking about internal deficiency. It should be treif. Why do we say that if you can pour it like water, it's kosher? So the Gemara says, we're talking about an external piece that's missing. Well, why is that not like a hole? You said, it's like a hole. Rav Shimon said that a hole is not enough to make it treif. It's got to be a hole going all the way to the bronchi. When? Where there's no deficiency in lung tissue. Rav Shimon will say that even if it does not go all the way to the bronchi, if there's a hole with deficiency, he will say that it's treif. Rav Chananya cholash. Rav Chananya got sick. Ala gabe Rav Nosson v'chol Gedolei Ador. Rav Nosson and the Gedolei Ador came to visit him. They brought a shaila, a lung that poured like water. And he said it's kosher. Amarava, vu dekaimis simpoinos. As long as all the bronchi are intact. Now, how will you know if the bronchi are not intact? You bring a glass cup and you pour the lung in it. If you see white pieces, so that's treif, because the white pieces are the dissolved bronchi. If you don't see any white, ilok sheva. Amrav Nachman, re'ashini muka, if it's shriveled, ukrum shalakayim ksheva. As long as the outer membrane is okay, it's kosher. Tanamahachi reya shini muka ukrum shalakayim. The membrane is okay. Afilu machzekas revius. Even it can hold a revius of liquid, the part that's missing, ksheva. Okay, we'll stop here. Okay, we will have the tsurba in about 10 minutes.
And what time tomorrow night? 7?
Tomorrow, 7 o'clock.